Talent mapping is available directly within Microsoft Teams and the Perform and Engage 365 app. If you have the permissions to access the talent mapping function, either because you've been allocated as a reviewer or because you have some form of departmental or higher level permission, then it will be available to you underneath the My Team tab. In My Team, you will see on the left-hand side the My Team section. So this is where you can see all the information about your own direct team members. And then below that, if you have the access rights, you will see an organization submenu. And if you click on dashboard, that will open up the organization dashboard for you or for your department, depending on your access. Within here, you have access to check-in information, sentiment, engagement scores, check-in rates, question responses, but you also have access to the talent mapping function down the bottom here on the right-hand side. Now, depending on how it's been named in your organization, this may be a 9 box, it may be a 4 box, there are many different ways that you may have named this within the platform. But what you will see is an overview of the current status of the people you currently have access to. So the overview picture here is actually the number of people that drop into each of these boxes. So because we're using a 9-box grid for our talent mapping exercise in this platform, you'll of course see 9 boxes, and we've got performance along the bottom, potential along the side axis, and then you will see that we have the number of people in each of those boxes. So we've got 1 person in performance and potential low, and 2 people in high, and then as you can see in the other boxes, different numbers. Now to go into the full screen, just click on View Details. And this will open up the talent mapping screen for you. And immediately we see a breakdown by employee. So I can hover over each employee and see their current ratings. What you'll also see is you're able to group and filter. So depending on your access level, you could filter by team or department, but you can also group. So if I click on group by department, you'll actually see that we now actually group each of the ratings by department. So if I hover over E, that's engineering, we can see that the average score is 3.3. For HR, it's 3, 2.5. For product management, we can see it's 2.2. For sales, 2 and 1.67. So this gives you a really good idea of the strengths and weaknesses within the organization in terms of performance and potential. You can also filter, which will allow you to break that down into lower numbers. Depending on how you've configured the system, you will also see color coding and the individual names of each box. And if you click on them, it will give you the description by just clicking on this eye icon at the top right-hand side. You can also view the calibration view. So if you click on calibration, it will show you the comparison between performance in this case and our reference curve. Now, depending on how you've configured talent mapping, you may want to calibrate on performance, or you may want to calibrate on potential. Typically, we see performance being the main calibration metric. And what you can see here is we've got our performance distribution. So we can see 4 people are in below, 5 are in average, 4 are in above. And then we have our reference curve, which is just a normal curve. And that's predicting how many people we would expect to fall into each of those categories based on a normal distribution. Now you can upload your own distribution curve depending on how you want to do that. But this works in a very similar way to how calibration works within performance reviews in Perform and Engage as well. But what this is telling us at the moment is actually we've got 5 people with an average performance, but we'd expect around about 7.8 based on this distribution. So we're actually below. And then actually our reference curve is also now below what we have for below performance. So this gives you a good idea as to how you are tracking against the standard distribution. If we scroll further down, you now get the tabular view. Now the tabular view provides you the actual data. So the values above were purely the performance and potential ratings. So if I slide across, you can see we have performance and potential. And in addition to that, we have a range of information, static data about the people. So we've got all the person names, got their manager, department, and the status of this 9 box. I can of course go in and modify any of these based on the permissions that I have. So I can go in, and when you start, these would be blank, but once I've finished with what I want to do, just click save, and that will automatically update the grid above, as well, of course, as the calibration curve. So you can see our calibration curve has changed slightly there. In addition to looking at performance and potential, this part of the platform also supports succession planning and development planning. So in this case, you can see that I can specify potential successors. We can specify the risk of loss, impact of loss for an individual, next position. We've also got some checkboxes, so readiness and action plan, development needs. All of these columns are configurable. So when you set up your template for talent mapping and you're choosing whether you're using 9-box grid or the different values you want to use, you can also specify those custom columns that you want to include. And they can be drop down, checkbox, free text. A wide variety of options are available to you to collect additional information. Once you've completed your talent mapping exercise, you simply click save, and the administrator is also able to set them to final. By setting them to final, no more updates can be made to your 9-box or your talent mapping grid.